Hi guys, my name is Precious Andrew. I'm a student of Eziba International College of Air Technology. And as you all know, I've been talking on anatomy and physiology. Now, the topic before us is cell. Before then, you that have not been liking, sharing, and subscribing, please go to my YouTube page and please subscribe. Please subscribe. Tell other people that as a health student, if you are finding it difficult to understand anatomy and physiology, this is the time for you to understand it in a layman language. I'm going to be very simple about it. I'm going to try to be very simple about it. So we'll be talking on cell today. What is the meaning of cell? If you hear the word cell, what comes to your mind? Cell can be defined as the functional, structural, and biological unit of all living things. What does that mean? Cell is the functional unit in our lives. If we don't have a cell, we cannot be talking. If we don't have a cell, we cannot function. If we don't have a cell, we will not be alive. Cell is the ultimate of human. For the life, for we standing at all, is the structure that is keeping us. It is cell, the functional unit of life. And so a normal cell replicates its cells. A cell of Mr. A cannot go and give birth to a cell of Mr. C. It doesn't work like that. There must be genetic materials found in that baby of genetic A. You must see traces of the genetics material in that child. That is what cell does. Cell replicates itself. It gives birth to its own self. The cells in our body come back as the cell again. It replicates itself. Cell takes in nutrient from the food that we eat. Cells take in nutrient from the food that we eat. Now, let me make, for example, our skin. If you notice, there will be a time that our skin will be peeling off. And before you know, there will be new skin coming out. That is the work of a cell. It replicates itself. Once it's going, it's coming back. That is cell. It replicates itself. It will not come back and turn to another thing. It must come back as skin. That is what cell is talking about. It says cells carry out important function in our lives. Without cell, we cannot do anything. There's no structure holding us. There's no function. There's nothing. He said, cell provides structure for the body. Like I said before, the human body developed from a single cell called zygote. We all developed from a single cell. We developed from a single cell. Single cell. We all developed from a single cell called zygote. That little cell, that one cell, that was how we was formed. And he said this single cell, this zygote, it resulted from the fusion of the ovum and spermatozoa. Now, when the sperm fertilizes the egg, that is where childbirth comes in. That is when the fetus starts growing. That is where it starts from. That single cell, that single sperm that fertilized the ovum, now ovum means egg, the woman's egg in the stomach of the woman, ovum. He said, once that small sperm fertilizes a single egg, that is when a cell starts growing. Another cell starts growing and form something we call fetus. And fetus means a baby in the womb that is not yet born. Now, he said this is followed by cell division, fetus. Fetus starts growing and different structures and function develop. Now, when this spermatozoa fertilizes the ovum, the fetus start developing again. Another cell start developing, which is the fetus. It starts developing again, growing and having different structures and functions develops. Before you know, the nose comes out, the eyes comes out, the mouth comes out, the ear comes out. The cell starts growing. He said the cell can, and these cells cannot be seen with the naked eyes. If you cannot see your cell as I am like this, you cannot see my cell. It cannot be seen with the naked eye because they are microscopic in nature. When you hear the word microscopic, it means it is small and you cannot see it with your naked eyes. That is that about a cell. And we'll go further by talking about the components of cell. We're talking about components of cells. The first one is the cell membrane. The first one is talking about the cell membrane. Now, components of a cell. You see, this is a plasma membrane which encloses the cell as an outer covering. This cell membrane, it encloses the cell as an outer covering. What does this mean? Cell membrane is the one that covers the cell. Let's use for example the house. Before you can enter into the house, you first of all see the building before you can enter into the house, and the door of the house determines who enters and who comes out. That is how a cell membrane is. Cell membrane is the one covering the house. Cell membrane is the one covering the cell, the outer part of the cell. It provides a selective barrier to the cell and parent substance from entering or leaving the cell. It provides a selective barrier. Cell membrane is selective. Not just anything can enter into the cell without the knowledge of the cell membrane. The cell membrane is to determine what enters into the cell and what does not enter into the cell. That is the cell membrane. He said it controls entry and exit. If you use a building, you understand it very well. The entry of that building, for you to enter, it is the entry that determines whether you are entering or not. That is what a cell membrane is. So thereby regulating the composition of the cell. Is the cell membrane regulates the composition of the cell. It's the one that who is the one that they tell us who goes out and who comes in of the cell. Okay, you see, only small particles like water can pass through this membrane freely by simple diffusion. It's only particles like water can enter through simple diffusion. Understand that cell membrane controls the entry and the exit. Now, the second one is talking about the nucleus. What is a nucleus? He said the nucleus is the membrane enclosed largest organelle. Now, in a cell, the nucleus is the largest organelle in the cell. Nucleus contains chromosomes, which are the body genetic material in the form of deoxyribonucleic acid. Now, the nucleus contains chromosomes. And what are chromosomes? Chromosomes are the genetic material. Now, in a layman language, nucleus is the one that has the genetic material. That is genetic material we're talking about now. That is the DNA. For you to know the DNA of a child, it depends on the nucleus. It depends on the nucleus because the nucleus is the one that contains these genetic materials like the color of the parents is a genetic material. The face of the parent, you see that children resemble their parents very well. That is genetic material. You see sometimes genetic material comes with some abnormalities whereby the father is having a chronic sickness, and you see that the child will inherit it. Now, genetic materials in a layman language is the inheritance of a child from the parent, what you inherit. And it comes in a form of deoxyribonucleic acid, which is the DNA. You hear them say that I want to check the DNA of this child. They are talking about the nucleus. They're talking about genetic material. They want to know, how is this child having the genetic material of this man, or is this man having how is their blood? They will check. That is what nucleus is all about. It carries the genetic materials, the DNA. And is the largest enclosed organelle in the cell, because it carries everything about a human being. Okay, the next one says cytoplasm. Cytoplasm. This is a gelatinous liquid that fills the inner part of the cell. Now, cytoplasm is a kind of liquid that occupies inside the cell. So this is made up of water, salt, and various organic molecules. Now, a cytoplasm, it is made up of water, salt, and various organic molecules. So the cytoplasm is likened to a water balloon, but thicker than water. The cytoplasm is like a water balloon. You know a water balloon, but this cytoplasm, it is thicker than water. What we are just saying to talk is that a cytoplasm is the thing that occupies inside the cell, the gelatinous liquids that occupies inside the cell, the fluid, everything that occupies inside the cell is talking about the cytoplasm. See, inside the cytoplasm there are organelles like the mitochondria. You know, the mitochondria is the engine room of a human. Inside the mitochondria there are organelles like the mitochondria, lysosomes, and some other unpronounced organelles. It's like a water balloon. The liquids, the gelatinous liquid inside the cell, that is the cytoplasm. Now we'll be talking about functions of a cell. A cell performs various functions which are important for the development and growth of an organism. A cell performs various functions, important functions. Okay, one is it facilitates growth during mitosis. Now, mitosis means when a cell divides itself into two daughter cells. It facilitates growth during mitosis. During the breakage of those cells into two daughter cells, the cell helps it to be fast, helps the growth of that cell. Okay, so you say it provides structures and support. Cell is the one providing structures and support for us. We that are having these structures today is because we have a cell. It helps in the generation of energy. Cell is the one that gives us energy, because every food that enters into our systems, the cell uses it to give us energy. It permits the transportation of substance. It's inside the cell, all the transportation is moving on. All our nutrients that we are eating goes to places that they are supposed to go. That is osmosis and diffusion. The water, where there is no enough water goes there. Where there is no enough food, enough nutrients, that is what a cell does. It helps in the process of reproduction. Like I said, the nucleus, that is that has chromosomes, which are the genetic material in the form of deoxyribonucleic acid. Now, it helps in the process of reproduction. Without a cell, you cannot reproduce. It is a cell that helps us to reproduce, that gives us genetic materials. Tell us that this is Mr. A's son, this is Mr. B's son, because you see the qualities of Mr. A in Dr. A in the child. That is what a cell is talking about. Those are the functions of a cell according to anatomy and physiology. Now we have major types of cell. The major types of cell: epithelial cell, epithelial cell. Now these cells, they are the cells that are tightly attached to one another. When you hear epithelial cell, know that they are talking about cells that are attached to themselves, that are attached to themselves. Okay, we have the nerve cell. Next, they are specialized for communication and sending message. They are specialized for communication and sending message, like the brain. What does it do? When the leg is paining you, you hear it from your head. You understand that my legs are paining me. These are nerve cells. It sends message. Imagine the leg is the one paining you, but you are having headache. You are feeling it in your brain. You know that your leg is paining. That is nerve cell. It sends message and communicates messages to us. Now we have the muscle cell. So they are specialized for contraction and retraction and body movements. The muscle cells are the one that deals with the movements of the body, retraction and contraction. When a woman is pregnant, when she's about to give birth, you see that there's a retraction and contraction happening. It will hold her, then leave her a little. That retraction and contraction is caused by the muscle cell. We have connective tissue cell. Connective tissue cell is talking about the tissue cells that are connected to each other, that are connected from one point to the other. This is what connective tissue cells is all about. I believe you enjoyed the class. Now, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. I remain Precious Andrew from Icotech, which is